I'm here to talk about Limitless Season 1, Episode 5, Personality Crisis. And I just feel like this episode, Brian was pretty much serious across the board. You know, normally when he's off of NZT, he's pretty much a little more goofy. But this time, it just affected him all the way through. But let's talk about the case. They got a tip on a meth lab, and they needed Brian's help. They knew which building, but they didn't know which apartment exactly. So they used a cell phone tracer, and of course Brian helped locate the apartment. But while he was doing it, he was drinking a lot of juice. So when they go in to raid the apartment, Brian had to pee because he was drinking so many juices. I don't know why, like a little kid. When they go into the apartment, it was booby-trapped and it had a small explosion. And no one was there. Brian went and used the restroom in the building against the advice of the guy in the van. And when he came out, a guy named Chris was running out. He tries to stop him like, you can't run, like don't run, it won't help you in anything. So he was going to defend himself and fight because he thought NZT, you know, I remember everything and saw Bruce Lee movies, and he got punched. But he slowed down the guy, and the FBI arrested him. Nash wanted him to go and talk to the guy to see if he can get any information. Chris was determined that his brother is not a terrorist. He wouldn't do this. I know my brother. Brian asked him to tell him about his brother. Based off the information that he told him, because Chris also said that his brother Sam had a secret email account, and Brian went and tried to figure out possible combinations of an email and a password. He passed it on to the cyber department, and they come up with an address that didn't have any emails, but it had drafts, and the drafts had pictures in it. They broke the code, and it was basically a hospital address, a date 2 days later, and then the address that they raided. Harris and Brian goes to the hospital in the radiology department, and then they find out that some chemicals were missing, and the chemicals that can create a nasty bomb. Brian goes back to Chris and like, you know, this is what your brother doing. You think he's not a terrorist, but this is pretty much what you're doing. Let me know if you know anything. It's going to happen in 2 days. When Brian was leaving home, Chris came to him and said, my brother called me. He wanted me to get this book bag and give it to him. Just wait for his call. Chris was like, I need you to help my brother. I know he's doing this, but is it a rehabilitation thing he can do or anything? Brian's like, I'll talk to Nash. Talk to Nash. I think that's her name. It's just weird. Talk to her. She's like, there's no rehabilitation for somebody trying to commit a terrorist act. No, we won't do it. But you can tell him what you want to tell him so we can get this guy. Brian didn't feel comfortable about it, but then he went over and oversold this hoopla of what can happen, and he can sit here and be safe, and he's going to be able to do this and then the other in jail. No, it don't work like that. But he agreed. They coach him into what to tell his brother. The FBI is around. It's a park. Why is there so many people all gathered around each other? Like, you need to be spread out and you need to be discreet. Y'all, they all got like kind of like military uniforms on, and they all with the rifle. It's just too much. Like, ain't nobody see that. Y'all need to be more discreet. Chris meets his brother, Sam, but Sam brings Norris as well with him. In his bag, he had a chemical that would help finish the bomb. Instead of Chris just talking to him and giving it to him, he sit here and say, why did you do this? I did this for your own good. Norris figured out that the cops were there. They go running. I just don't understand why when they was running, nobody held the brother back. And then it's just like they are running in a military march or something. Y'all wouldn't spread it out or nothing. Okay, they arrest Sam, and Chris was running behind. And they were like, where is Norris? Y'all were running behind both of them. Y'all didn't see where he went. Nobody would spread it out. Norris come out of nowhere and shoot. He shot Chris, and boy killed Norris. found out that Chris died. So Brian was really taking this hard because to sit here and lied and told this guy all this information and helped save his brother, but he ended up dying. So that really hurt him. Let's talk about Brian being punched. When Brian was being punched, Nas recommended that he get FBI SWAT self-defense training by a guy named Casey. Casey go and teach Brian. And it was funny because Harris came in and he said something like, "Oh, you haven't been on the mat for a while." And I thought that, I was like, that's kind of seemed a little flirtatious. Come to find out, Harris and Casey are dating. And it's a little cute. I was like, oh, because he was in her apartment. She thought it was Brian because, you know, he done broke into her apartment a couple times. I thought that was cute. Aw. But she didn't want Brian to find out. When Brian was taking it hard that Chris had died, he revealed that he knew. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Okay, during this whole time, Brian was sitting there leaving himself videos. The Brian on NZT was leaving the other Brian videos like, you cannot tell Rebecca what you found out because you would go jail because you basically committed treason stealing the files. He decides to try to ask Sands about her father so at least he can give her that much and not say that he got the files. I feel like Sands was lying, but he was like, I do not know about every crackhead that was on NZT and just found out about Conrad Harris when you told me about him. And then he was kind of threatening Brian in a way like, you know, your loyalty, is there a loyalty issue with Rebecca? Do we need to put you with somebody else? And then he also asked him, how's your father doing? So it's just pretty much threatening. Brian comes to the conclusion like, I'm just going to be out for myself. But then after the Chris situation happened, he's like, he makes a video. I thought at first it was the NZT Brian, but it was actually the regular Brian telling the NZT Brian, I'm not going to live like this where it's just self and what makes me how I am, I'm not going to sacrifice that. So I'm going to do the damage, and by the time you find out, it's already done. So he goes to Rebecca and is like, I have copied a file about your dad, and you deserve to know. I just wonder where that is going to go. I would have just told her or just randomly sent her something and just told her what happened. But he gave her the file. This is going to open up a lot of cans of worms. But it might put her on his side. Who knows? But then she's going to ask questions about other stuff. And then is he going to tell her about the shot? Because he will die. I don't know. But let's continue to watch. Subscribe to this channel. Leave a message or a comment. And follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Bye.